Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. I am broadcasting to you, of course, from the Xtreme Studios in the Pinellas Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. And it's hard not to keep a straight face here when I've got RDV from the Great Midwest because we're going over a very crazy movie called The Magic Crystal from 1986, a Cynthia Rothrock vehicle. And I got to say this, we posted this earlier, RDV, out there for the fans to take a gander at because it's available on a lot of different places on YouTube with a nice HD print, actually, with English subs. And I started watching it, and I didn't turn the subs thing on. And then I did. And then I said, you know what? I want to watch this without knowing what the hell they're saying. It was vastly entertaining because this is a movie that's got everything with A's, a really horribly cheesy 8-bit synth score. Cynthia Rothrock kicks ass in here. We got a lot of stuff in there we're going to talk about. But it's about like this little kid that finds this supposed piece of jade that's kind of like he's friends with an alien but bullied, and his name's Pin-pin, and we never care about kids. We want to see him die tragically and horribly. And there's some really great fighting in here. Oh, I could argue for some more broken glass, but at least we get some. This movie surprised me how good it was and entertaining, and how fast the action was, and great use of some of the sets and scenes in different styles too. And I was blown over the top by the end of an Indiana Jones slash.
The Crystal Skulls?
It's Crystal Skull bit. Indiana Jones 1 and 4. This movie is that at the end, and we'll explain why as we get to short. But this is a first watch for me too. I've seen some Cynthia Rothrock films, and we've covered some here on the Xtreme Movie Show. But for me, I don't recall seeing this before. What's your initial take?
Oh, so getting into this, I'm like, okay, I saw the trailer, and as a little kid, he finds this rock. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but apparently it can control people's minds or IQ. And you got this other kid here. It's like this is a movie. It almost feels like it would have been a Jackie Chan movie, almost.
Kind of, sort of. It's got some humor
because you got the Pancho, whose name is played by Jin Wong, who's actually I believe is the director and the writer. He's in here. He's the fat guy or the older guy who basically would be the Sammo Hung character. And he's a dopey character, and then we got the main guy, Andy Lau's character. He's playing a character named Andy Lau, and he is basically I don't know, he's a SWAT, but he's basically a guy when the police need to get evidence on somebody.
He's a spec op guy.
Yeah. He's the specialist guy. He comes in. Anyway, his brother or a friend calls him to Greece because he found something. But he's being chased by a KG beast, as you'd say, a KG ninja who looks like Tom Green, but fights like
muscular Tom Green.
Yes, I know, but
well bearded.
Yeah, but he has that 90s. He has that goatee, the blonde goatee, the hair. It's kind of he dyes his hair. It's not normally blonde, so it's like a brown mixture, whatever. Anyway, and then. Who happens also to be in here is Cynthia Rothrock, because Cynthia Rothrock apparently wasn't really the main star in this. She was an Interpol agent that was also chasing the villain, and pursuing the guy's friend, who had basically found this artifact. And they all want it, but who ends up bonding with the artifact? It's this little kid.
Yeah, the annoying little kid.
And actually, the kid wasn't annoying. Honestly,
he wasn't bad. I know. I give him crap, but why? Why do we want to see kids in this unless they were going to get martial arted to death?
I go back to Revenge of the Ninja. Yeah. I'd say it's on the same equality.
Jokosugi's son, Kane.
Yep, the little kid. So you're gonna appreciate. Yeah, it's a giant green rock. It's called the Jade. That's what that is. Terms, geography, whatever. And all you know is that basically it can communicate with you through ESP. And the kid finds the rock because the guy who basically was who had it originally was shot, killed, and stowed the rock inside the kid's bag, and he ends up dying anyway, or gets taken hostage by the. Anyway, so basically, Mr. Right, we've seen this. It's always a trope. We always tell movies where the bad guy is chasing a guy with something, so he ditches it into something. In this case, he ditches it into the little kid's bag. So the kid has it, and he's befriending it, and now. The Russian wants the artifact.
KGB agent.
Yes, he wants it. Who knows all kung fu? He was taught by his master. He knows all. He's like
all 10 styles.
Yes, he's the Russian Batman. We call him in this. But Anyway, so overall, it's very 80s feel. The music, man, it is it's synthwave all the way through, which I love. It is just great. 1986, Hong Kong films. Richard Norton, Cynthia Rothrock are billed as the top two, but Andy Lau is actually the main star in this. He is basically the guy who basically gets the last laugh on this. Cynthia Rothrock, she gets to show off her sword fighting rules. What really surprised me was Andy Lau's sister, the guy in the who's supposed to be sister, who's supposed to be the mother of Pin-pin, the little boy.
Mm-hmm.
We're through half the movie. She just sits there and knits and just watches all these soaps.
She's a homemaker.
She's a homemaker. She we're thinking like, oh my gosh, she doesn't, she's just a normal pushover. So when the villains come to kidnap the kid and get the rock, all of a sudden she goes out full. Oh my gosh,
she kicks some ass.
She goes Michelle Yeoh on everybody. It is sword fighting. We got collapsible spears, and you can see if Rothrock uses. It's just like you get two girls fighting against Cynthia Rothrock and I forgot what her name is. I'm trying to look it up in here. They even show it though, but anyway, she fights with him. Wei Wei Hong is her name in real life, but she's known as Andy's sister in the movie. Those two into the round go against Richard Norton in like this fight scene. And, like you see him like they every once in a while, like he's like because he thinks he's untouchable. I thought it was hilarious when the little homemaker basically gets a finger on him, like and claws his face. And he's like, oh, and she's like, yeah, I deal with what was it, cheating husband move or something like that,
Yeah, tomcatting.
Yeah, tomcat husband, and he's like, well, I know how to fix a woman like you. And it's like they're just going back and forth, like kind of like
That's foreplay, as we would tell the young 20-something Professor Pixel, who's not here tonight.
But man, this was weird.
It is a weird film because it is a Hong Kong action film, and you know what? Despite all the goofy stuff that we're kind of talking about, the action is off the charts here. There is a ton of it, and Andy Lau, look, all soaking wet 150 pounds of him, 5'8", whatever he might be, right? They show him working out in in a really 80s kind of style, lifting like maybe 10 or 20 pounds. I mean, it's laughable, right? But the point is they do what you're supposed to do in these movies. They just show you who he is, and they show you what he's capable of doing. So, to your point, they show him basically trying to retrieve this package with some bad guy laughing and some dorky dude with a crossbow. Yeah, it's weird. And again, if you're not watching and you're just watching the characters and not reading it and all that, it's even better because the scene we get with him, it's not that long. It's only maybe like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But holy shit, the tunneling these guys do. It's not all these constant crazy cuts. And I've talked this before. Yeah. Yes, we know they're acrobatic and they like to fall and they'll get hurt, but there's a shit ton of hair pulling in here. There's a lot of Canadian destroyers and reverse one type things. But the tunneling these people do into like the side of the friggin' hallway and everything and the stuff, and you don't even see the camera go. You're like, holy shit, these stunt people are taking an ass beating.
And I think Andy Lau did his own stunts.
Yeah.
You see him. He jumps off a balcony, two-story balcony with the girl. They run, they tackle, and actually no, he runs. The girl's being kidnapped, and he runs off, jumps up, and he tackles a guy at the bottom. I'm thinking like, where's the safety nets? Where's this? I'm looking for like a thing. Just remember they didn't edit things out like that. There was no CG to edit out stuff, green screens when you're jumping. Same thing again when they're rappelling down off the parking garage. Richard Norton cuts the rope and they fall. But luckily, they fall onto this. That you can tell right there. That was set up. That was like one of those.
Yeah, but still.
But man, the stunts they do in this are just fun. I did not watch. I watched the English sub because I had an HD copy. Just look it up. It's under like static laser, or just look up Magic Crystal 86. English or HD or whatever, and you'll find it. It's really cool. Anyway, so the music, the fast pace, the martial arts, it was kind of like it almost looked like the choreography. Yeah, obviously, because they're not trying to hurt each other. But whenever someone would go to fight, it's basically describe it. If you watch Laughing Hyena, when Jackie Chan fights against the guy blocks it, like block. that's what this is until finally someone like lands a finger on someone. They're like, oh, you actually touched me, and that's Richard Norton. This,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
that's your pause to kind of set up for, okay, now we're going to take
yeah.
it to the next level, sort
But
of thing.
the running on the walls, the kicks, it's awesome. And yeah, so and the thing that was really about this is Cynthia Rothrock actually was like a black belt in like in martial arts stuff.
Yeah, when you
She did
watch her
it.
earlier footage, you can see that she's got a ton of not just
Yeah,
martial arts training, like
yeah.
the Mantis style, but also weapons training.
She did all this, and then when she was done the tournaments, she got bored, and she said she went into acting. She studied. She was in Hong Kong for 3 years
Hmm.
doing movies. She's over like 160 under her belt.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
Well, we haven't done much of her films. We've done a few of
Oh,
them, and they were very good. And I think that this one here, like the second really big fight to me, is when they're supposedly like in Greece or whatever, and they're all kind of like chasing. It's like three different groups and all that. And what I liked about this too is, yeah, you have two like different chases kind of going on too because the group split up. So the one dude's chasing the other bad dude that's got the briefcase because you got to have a briefcase,
yeah,
and they're going through like this big, heavily this area that's full of furniture, just the chairs and all that for the most part, maybe a few tables, but nobody's sitting in them. So while they're chasing each other, get a nice camera shot of them trying to hop over them and run while doing their sword play and their martial arts. And then the guy grabs an umbrella from a couple that's making out ha 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 or whatever, and they cut that between Cynthia on foot chasing somebody, and she's carrying something because they're undercover Interpol agents while they're taking photos. The old school 80s espionage
hmm,
stuff. And so they have this big fight in this plaza with her and this dude, and she's got her what she's carrying ends up being a collapsible type spear. So you see her going through it, and what I liked a lot about the scene was it does not look like it was sped up. I may be wrong, but again, to your point about really no CGI for the most part at that time in movies, here you get a lot of very long camera takes where you can tell that even though it's choreographed, you get to see the camera moving because they know, okay, we're going to move here and do that. And there's a certain sense of fluidity to it. You're like, holy shit, she's really good. And while she may have what would be described as an 80s almost Pat Benatar-ish blonde-haired look, short cropped and all that too. Almost Spanish, but not in a bad way. That was a definite style then. You can tell she's very fit, very athletic with her physique and all that. And of course, everyone's wearing these baggy kind of 80s type clothes or whatever. And then the other guy that grabbed the umbrella, you see him doing like this weird stuff with it. But
and Andy
there's
Lau,
a lot
yeah,
of really
yeah,
cute, neat looking strikes and poses, and there's even like a choke out in this scene too. And then of course they all meet up and realize they're all like kind of like playing for the same team or whatever. And I'm like, you're right, this is not her action vehicle movie, but she stars in it enough. It's more Andy's. But again, you're 20, 30 minutes in, and you got two incredible fights. You're like, man, we would just hope in today's movies they'd have something like that, right?
hmm,
Yeah. I,
yeah,
I I'm not going to get into the Jade thing with the kid because I kind of don't like that. But you brought up the sister kicking some ass and all that. But you got to
yeah.
admit, some of the stuff with them falling like 20 stories down was a little kind of weird.
Yeah, like there's only like two scenes that's really like that. And that's the parking lot thing, and then
Yeah,
the other one is where he jumps off the. I guess they're at the gymnastics. That's where he meets her.
yeah,
The girl that's being hunted down because of her brother is the scientist or the archaeologist who discovered it and had the package. So they're going to try to use her as blackmail. And he happens to be there, and you got this stupid guy in there who's so like the jerk. He thinks he's real cool, and she just doesn't have wants nothing to do with them. Like for comedy effect, they brought him in, and there's even a scene where the guy because the kid basically realizes that the kid's gonna pervert on him, on not her but the girl, you
yeah.
know. So he like the Rock says, "Go, I can mess with rearrange his body for you." She's like, "Okay, he's evil." It's like so. His feet become his hands, and his hands becomes his feet. It
And a
is
weird scene in here too when we're
yes,
learning about the J thing is the hubby dudes. He's got a little freak in him or something. Maybe he's not getting enough at home, but he's uh he's
it's
sitting there and he's peeping on the one kind of hot Asian chick, and she's doing that the 80s thing where he's like watching her and she's like slowly undressing, and so we get a beautiful shot of her taking her sweater or top off, and that's the side of her back, and okay, no bra or anything like that. And she goes to turn around. We don't get quite the frontal shot that we would be hoping for as an 80s guy too, because
yeah,
again, boobs ruled in the 80s, but so did Tom stuff too. This goes all the way back to Jim Belushi or John Belushi on the on the stairs in Animal House, if you know that scene.
Yeah.
But she's kind of cute and she's kind of hot, and they got this funky light on her. I'm like, what the fuck is she supposed to be, an alien or what? And you see her grab her face, and it's like Poltergeist or whatever like that, where she starts to peel it off, and then he like just jumps off the building in the middle of the night and lands in, and that's when he wakes up with the feet in his hands. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this film?
That's
it's really weird.
The girl that's in there we're talking about, that's Sharla Chung, who basically appeared in Fist of Fury in 1991.
Yeah,
Was she a Chow?
Yeah, I want to talk about Mr. Norton, the bad guy, because I liked him because he's like, hey, you know, when he goes to meet them, because he's basically trying to take what they've got and all that, he's looking for it. They have some tea, stuff like that, and he's very calm, and he's not arrogant. He just tells them, no, I've had a master, and you know, I know all 10 forms of that, and this and that. And I'm like, we have seen this guy before. He's been in the Octagon. He's been in a bunch of things. I think he was actually in License to Kill. Maybe he's a backup dude or something. But this is the scene where I'm like, okay, this is going to be a kick-ass entrance where we get to see how good the bad dude is. But it's a little kind of goofy where, you know, they rappel off the side of the building, and I'm like, okay, I liked his introduction. I thought they could have done more here. They didn't, but he was still really cool to me.
Yeah. The other thing is, I'm watching him. I'm like, okay, he's like, what's he gonna do here? Because he's really gonna let them rappel down. And he's like, he watches for a bit, and he's like, he's like, give me the sword, and he cuts the rope. I was like, thank you, because that would have been stupid if they just would have got away that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a movie that I just came across by accident. I was going through Cynthia Rothrock stuff, and I was like, what is this? And like 1986, okay, can't be that bad. And I was like, okay, it's a little weird. The ending, we won't spoil it for you. We'll just say it's a little bit milky of the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like I said, the whole movie felt like it was supposed to be a Jackie Chan movie, but or a copy of the style of Jackie Chan's. Remember, Jackie Chan was popular. Everyone wanted to be like him, and also people wanted to be like Bruce Lee. But Bruce, for a while, Bruce Lee had just died in 81. When did he die?
God, no, I think 74.
74, is that? Oh,
something like that. He was young. I thought so. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's just what comes to my mind immediately. Yeah. Oh, it was a big deal. Yeah. I mean, Kung Fu, the TV show, had been on for a few years. A lot of the exploitation type films that we've only briefly talked about and covered a few of here on the Xtreme Movie Show from the 70s with, the African American experience and others were a big deal. But, oh, yeah, it hit everybody hard. So, this is the explosion of ninja stuff, late 70s, early 80s, of course, Canon Films. And this being a Hong Kong film, they're going to be doing this no matter what anyway, right? I mean, that's what they do. So, yeah, it's... the Norton character, the bad guy, is good, and you had mentioned this earlier, but I want to touch upon because I thought it was one of the better scenes in the movie is when he is fighting the dude's sister or whatever like that. To your point, where you said she's like Susie homemaker and all that. There's just some nice shit because it's in a small enclosed little space. So we had a wide open space in Greece. We had the short introductory one where we saw Andy's character. We saw Cindy and the Interpol guy and everybody together in the second scene. In this third scene here, basically, we get to see her, and Cynthia comes in and he's like, yo, only a woman knows how to cope with her husband. And Cynthia comes in, crack her knuckles. Well, it depends on what kind of woman. And so it's like a 2-on-1 fight, which will be the preview of what that was like, in the third act, which we're getting ready to talk about.
So what came out the same year as this? And I was thinking, like, this really seems like another movie.
Top Gun.
No. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, and also
sorcery, martial arts. You got the American.
It's John Carpenter with a little bit of a budget saying, hey, I always love Kung Fu action movies. Let me just have fun with it. And the whole thing about the Pork Chop Express and all this stupid stuff is the movie is nothing but Snake Plissken basically just trying to act like John Wayne, and it's not about him. He thinks he's the hero, but he's not. I mean, it's really dopey and stupid, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And then it's kind of send up of something like this, right?
In a sense, you have the blonde, you have the evil sorcerer. There's magic involved. This was a little bit more lighthearted, where that one had more of a bigger budget than this one. But apparently, this one actually was a box office hit in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which isn't that hard to do because a lot of them back then were either your hits or like they were still semi successful. I just kept thinking, I'm thinking like how many copied Jackie Chan? We had Jackie Chan, remember him? We just
Yeah.
did the other one.
Bruce Lei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this was supposed to be like a knockoff of the Jackie Chan movies because the guy who plays the uncle in here or the I don't know if he's the kid's son or I mean the kid's father or not, but he basically comes off dopey. He's not he's not that smart. He's fat. And I'm thinking like this is Sammo Hung. I kept thinking that he's kind of pervy. He sees a hot girl. We're in Greece. He's like, I'm gonna talk to her and like, and then he sees another couple comes up and the guy spray paints a little heart on the wall and the police come home away arrest him. He's like, oh shit, because he just spray painted a giant heart next to the girl and the cops is watching him. He's trying to block it. So the cop doesn't see it. Eventually the cops see it and they chase him. But I mean, like it's. I kept thinking about that. Like, where are they filming? They're allowing them to actually spray paint on it because they're in like Athens, Greece. They do not play like that. Not even for Hollywood or any of that stuff. You cannot deface anything. So I'm wondering if that was just like a stage thing.
It could have been, or it could have been, we're using this kind of paint, and all that.
Water,
It was
washed
okay or
off.
something. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I did appreciate the fact that they did go to different places because in the third act here, because the bad guys have, got that in the gem and they're trying to find it and they're running to this cave and I'm like, okay, they're back where they started, full circle thing. And yes, they end up having to go through this walking path where they have to walk on the light, otherwise the ground's going to collapse. So that's Indy 3.
Yes.
And then they get into the room that has the alien pod with the corpse in it, which is like 1 and 4, and then the kid's like actually like talking to this skeleton like through the jade thingy or whatever like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Of course it's a space alien that just wants the jade so he can go back home or whatever. And the fight though here at the end, it's Andy and it's Cynthia versus this Norton guy, and this guy is good, and he's a martial arts expert, and he brought out the size. So we've seen swords, we saw spears, we saw her particularly in this one, which I thought's great. I just love the quirky little movement of like the praying mantis because it's kind of like irregular, not symmetrical the way it moves. That's where you have the 2 index fingers where she's got them curved forward over like that, which is a little different than Claw, and I like Claw too. But everybody's got their styles and all that. But someone just looked kind of wussy. This one looked kind of neat. And so they would switch styles a little bit. And this guy was really, really good. He's physically bigger than both of them, but tag teaming on the guy, there's a lot of flips and damage going on in here. And I thought this was actually a pretty good fight here at the end as well. Again, I can't say enough about the fights. The fights are really exciting and really, really good. And yeah, it's a kind of a dopey, cheesy film.
But there's one part of this movie that stands out as awesome. You'll know the scene when you see the rifle. You know what I'm talking about, right? At the prison.
Well, I'll let you describe it for everybody.
So we get a close up of this rifle, and we see him opening up his case, pulling out an ice bullet. I'm thinking like, holy crap, they're actually gonna go with this. Like it's not even physically even possible, but.
At this point, I don't really care. I'm watching something in a foreign language, and there's some ass kicking going on, and so I was happy with it.
The main guy got arrested because he was framed for the guy, his friend's murder, and oh my gosh, so they're gonna, and I can't tell if the bad guys are trying to do it at first, but all I know is the guy loads up and shoots him point blank in the head. You see the scope, he goes down, and they pull him in the hospital. He's barely alive. He's something. And all of a sudden, he's just like this other guy who basically arrested early in the movie, who was in the prison. He's been trying to get revenge on him. Kind of dopey guy. Goes and I'm gonna pull your oxygen mask off, and he wakes up and he basically like beats the crap out of him. And I'm like, what? What was just to fake his death so he can get out of there? I guess. I don't know. But it was like the ice bullet on the rifle. I was just like, why doesn't every movie have this? I want a movie that has clips. I want to. You put a clip in there, it has about 12 or 20 ice bullets, and you just fire rounds, and then like So when they go to retrieve it, there's no shells there like I it's awesome.
Yeah, there's certain things to me that are like, I don't know how to describe it. There's certain things that you just go, okay, here's a list of ingredients. I don't know how Carrie put it together. If you got all these in there, the better the movie. Um, of course, we're like, I like, and I think we can all agree that watching boobs is a good thing. Undressing, right? The
Yes.
erotica kind of stuff for it, not necessarily blatant boobs in your face, but more of a kind of a tease kind
This
of.
was PG-13, so they weren't going to show boobs.
You're gonna have plenty of boobs in PG-13 in the '80s. I'm just telling you.
Maybe
Puke
yeah.
is always great to have, where you see it coming out of somebody's mouth repeatedly and with heavy heaves. An ass shot here and there from a guy is always great. If you're in a movie, you'd want to show your ass, literally. Um, I don't like these weird comedy relief characters, but usually you have a dopey one that takes an insane amount of beatings and damage or something. In the '80s, it was always the fat kid.
Yeah.
But I might have to add the 762 0 degrees Fahrenheit ice bullet or whatever, because I was like, I don't fucking get it. Why? How the hell does he have this? And why? I mean, I love the sniper shot.
Yeah.
I love a binocular
Yep.
or a sniper lens shot. As you're tracking somebody that you get in here. But you're right. Why the hell? Why don't more movies have this kind of weirdness in it?
It can't be the only movie as ice blood, because I remember Mythbusters did a thing about it when they're back and they were talking about, can ice blood really kill someone?
Because you're right. He opens it up and there's like 2 of them, and of course it's got the smoke coming out. Like, who fucking carries that around? I'm sorry. It's just
there's no way to
weird.
There's no way to fire because there's no gunpowder. And the whole bullet has a little bit of gunpowder to shoot it forward when it's fired, when it's struck by the bolt action. There's no way you could fire an ice bullet these days, unless you use like what's it called? High pressured I guess air gun. Yeah, an air gun. Yeah, and even then it won't go that far.
There's one really bad scene, and I forgot, like one old staple in '80s movies is when you're driving a car or moving in a city and all that. There's always the 2 people carrying like the glass across the street that it's the first person misses and the second person goes through. There's somebody's working on the ladder and the ladder gets knocked off. There's always the fruit stand where things get rolling and maybe sometimes hit the camera rolling and all that. But the one thing that people do not talk about that was a thing in the '80s in movies, and I wish they had more of it, is when you're doing fights where you have gross quantities of objects, you've got to see them all break down. And by this, we've talked with enough '80s horror movies where they've taken place inside grocery stores. We've seen stuff like that. But there's a scene in here where they're getting into the bad guy's lair and they're in a warehouse and there's giant pallets, an entire wall of nothing but like orange soda, right? Yep. And so you got like the 110-pound dude, a bad guy that lifts his leg up straight up like a ballerina or like that, and she like one kicks him into everything. And I thought, okay, I'll buy that. I didn't need to see a fight here because the guy was stupid doing his stretching, and she just kicks his ass.
I had to look it up because I knew there was another movie that used ice bullet. It was Most Wanted, when he was with Keenan Iron Wayans and then John Voight. That's the only other play they actually use an ice bullet as Hollywood. I was thinking you would think a lot more movies would use this, but we're only 2 movies.
Did you get a Goonies vibe from here too with this third act? Them sliding down the secret tunnels, and then the puzzles they had to solve and all this.
Yes,
shit.
And I kept.
The fuck?
And then you got like the fancy like computer or ship over that's right there, and just. It's the alien from
it's the leftover set from
it's
Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Stargate SG-1, the little green alien that's in there that talks to them, it helps them out. And it's like oh my gosh, it's like this is just so retarded, but it's so much better than Kidding Chris Skull.
Well, the other thing too is I was going to ask you this because I know when we've talked about Tony Jaa movies, where he'll do like a big setup for something like a super kick or whatever like that. When he hits this finishing blow on somebody, you get it where it repeats like 3 times, 4 or 5 times in a row, sometimes from different angles, but the exact same shot. I know you hated that, but in here they did some of the ones where it would like go in slow motion, right? When you'd rip somebody's face skin off or whatever like that, or some of the the scenes like with him on the side in the final battle went in super slow motion. I actually kind of liked that a little bit because I still thought the choreography looked really good, and that seemed to go fast, even though it was deliberately like slowed down. Like, hey, you got to watch this here. It's ASMR martial arts.
So I looked this up. So before this movie came out, it's 86.
Right.
They had Yes, Madam.
Yes.
Which we reviewed on this channel. This is the movie that launched Cynthia Rothrock's career in Hong Kong.
Yep.
So she did a few movies that. So I mean, I honestly, I wish those two would have did more movies together. Yes, Madam was actually really good. If anybody's able to watch it,
it's better than this film. Seriously, it really is.
Way better.
This isn't a bad film, but this has got a lot of good stuff in it. But it's just weird and quirky, which helps. Otherwise, it could have been kind of weird in a bad way.
And the weird thing is that like Andy Lau's character in this, doesn't even get the girl that he's protecting at the end. So I'm like, did you just go for Cynthia Rothrock? He's like, oh no, I'll settle for the one who can actually fight. It's weird because if it would have been any other than the kid movie, it would have figured he'd be like, protect the girl, and then he gets the girl at the end.
Well, I think it said it best in chat when he was like, frozen bullets. Brilliant.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I'm glad we covered it. We always like to bring it back to the 80s and martial arts, whether it's home or overseas. Well, I mean, it's just it is how it is, and so it's a very fun movie. Certainly more fun than Oppenheimer was, so that's for sure. I could have watched two of these for that, or this and The Cable Guy, let's say. Now, definitely the highlights are the fighting, the choreography. If you're a martial arts fan and you're serious about like Cynthia Rothrock and all, that's fine. And maybe go, I wish I could see Amy Johnson and her go off at each other or like that. Maybe, I think you'd have to turn Amy Johnston heel because she's younger and smaller, so she can play the heel role, and you have Cynthia as the older, wise sensei or whatever you would call a female one. I guess maybe it's the same term, and just have something like that happen where she does like that man thing and just has to show up and beat her ass or something. It'd be a great little vehicle for both of them to beat a bunch of people up, but one can always dream, right? Final thoughts, sir.
Final thoughts. This is actually worth watching. I'm excited you can find it on YouTube. Look up English sub.
For free, nothing illegal.
Yeah, for free, nothing illegal at all.
Yep.
Very fun movie. I do recommend you guys check out some more Cynthia Rothrock movies. We'll probably do some more on these. I got a fever, and I need some more martial arts.
I know, right? It's addictive. When it's done well, you want more.
80s martial arts, man. Jackie Chan, like I said, that police story where he slides down on the lights. I want actors who actually do their own stunts, doing their stuff. That's why we love Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He does his own stunts.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not like, I'm going to go take a powder break. Now the other guy does the dangerous crap. No.
It's not like Roger Moore, who had a driving double, a skiing double, a sex double, a scuba double.
Sex double? Wow.
That's an old Mad Magazine.
I was gonna say, how do I sign up for that?
No, but if you're as good as Roger was, and you could just raise one eyebrow and go, really? I mean, that's all you need for the baby dolls of the world to want to have sex with you.
I wasn't really trying to do walk, okay? It was a half-assed thing. If you want the real deal, you gotta subscribe to Patreon, bro.
All right. Any final thoughts? Anything you need to plug?
Other than to plug this out, this show up here, we'll go over. Stop by if you like comic books. I'm doing every week on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. I talk about comic books coming out for the week.
That's your Haul of the Week kind of review.
Pretty well. Thursday is the haul video.
Gotcha.
Tuesday is talking about the books that are going to be coming out and which books I'm actually looking forward to. It's kind of like a summer preview you do for the movies.
Yes.
Like this is and then we do the follow up. This is the movie I was always we did the preview. Holy crap! It's like it's basically like the follow up. So and that's I kind of want to start doing that with Egret. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I know Twitter transitioned over today. Transitioned to
yesterday.
The letter X, which I'm gonna have to talk to Elon because I know that bro listens to us, and it's like I get.
I think it's great.
Well, I mean, he can be a transhumanist. He can chase all his little
no trans whatsoever.
Well, we'll get into that some other. We're not that kind of a stream. We're not one of those. But yeah, Elon, bro, you got to give us a shout out or something like that. Your pool's got some serious weight behind it, and frankly, you're stealing off of me, and you're not quite a physicist, neither am I, but
You have the white.
bro.
No. Does he have the white X2 on his thing?
Yeah, he does.
He has the different version of X.
Yeah, well, this one's copyrighted, bro. I'm based down here in Central Florida. We all know that, and Florida man doesn't play around. So, just some reciprocity would be nice on Elon's part. I know we're a small channel here, but we're growing, and that's the important thing. And it means we have an audience. And Elon, I know you're a part of it. That's all I got to say. Okay. All right, guys, there you have it. Magic Crystal 1986. It's a Hong Kong film, which Hong Kong was independent of China. They no longer are, so you may see Chinese names with all that stuff. That was released in the Philippines and hot. Wasn't, to my knowledge, even prevalent here in the United States, but it's definitely a nice little gem to go check out too. It sounds like Ed Bruce checked it out. Maybe we all listened to it. Definitely a fun film. Yes, Madam's obviously a higher quality film all around, but they're both very good vehicles, and makes you go, man, Cynthia Rothrock really's got it. Like to see more of that. Yeah. Absolutely, would like it. So. I'd like to obviously thank you, RDV, for showing up too, and of course Ed and everybody else showing up here in chat, checking things. So have a good night, everybody. As always, stay extreme. Have a good one, Ed.